So we're going to have a look today at the Google Calendar schedule import tool, which we've developed to allow you to take your schedule that runs around a rotating number of days in a cycle, and to import it into Google Calendar so that when it falls on a weekend or we fall onto a professional development day or a holiday, then that day gets taken into consideration, and the days get skipped so that the cycle continues to run as it should throughout the year. So we're essentially creating a custom repeating event within our calendar. Each event is going to be created individually, and the days are going to be editable. So the first step is to access the calendar schedule input tool user guide, and the user guide allows us to um, access the different files that we need. So we're going to start off by using the beginner guide, which has everything that's pre-configured, and I suggest that you go along with the pre-configured one to start with. So we're going to simply click on our link here, and we're going to open up the file that we're looking for. So once the file opens, we're going to need to create a copy, because to be able to use it, we're going to have to use the blank, and at the moment it's not editable for you. So to make a copy, we are going to go to File. We just have to wait for it to load because it has some scripts in it. So we go to File, and we want to make a copy. Now it's important not to close the original copy before it has finished making the new copy. Um, if you close it, some of the formulas sometimes don't carry across into the new sheet. So make sure that it is completely finished loading before you close the master copy. We can dismiss this message. It's a limitation of the Google Sheets. Okay, so it's now finished completely copying across, so I can close my original. So the first view that we're going to get is this view that gives us our days and our times. So if you're working on a 5 period day, you're going to want to fill in the start and end times here for each of your periods for the first 5 periods. Now, if you only have 4 periods, then you could enter a homeroom period or you could enter a lunchtime. If you have more than 5 periods, so we have it set up for 5 periods and 7 periods, then you need to fill in down to 7, making sure that the start and end times don't overlap. Um, if you want to use this with a class, it's set up so we can share it using SheetSpider, and you can share your calendar with your classes. You're going to want to enter some group. You're going to want to enter the group emails for the permissions over here, and your email address in here. So your first step is to choose, once you set up your times, is to choose how many days you have in a cycle. So here we've got it set to 9, so you can change the number here from 9. And then we need to choose whether we're going to be running this on a 5 period or a 7 period day. We have another video that shows you how to change this and set this up for a different number of periods, but for now it works best with 5 or 7 periods. So we're going to go with 5 periods. Um, your next step is to go down the list here, and where it says day 1, period 1, you're going to put in a class code. So I could put math 1, math 2, math 3, math 4, math 5. Now, if I don't teach what day 60, day 1, period 6, I can just remove the data from these. It's not going to affect it. It's not going to look for that value. So I now put my location. If you have a room number, you might want to put that in. So like room 100, let's say. So you go through. Let's say we teach this in a different room, 205, 101. And if you want to use the attendance feature, which it explains more about in the schedule input tool, you're going to need to link to your form for that class. So for Math 1, you would link to the form for Math 1 for the attendance here. And you're going to need to do that all the way down. So you're going to create a form for each of your classes, and you're going to link to that form here. So you go down and you're going to fill in your schedule all the way down to the bottom. Important thing here is don't delete any of the white numbers. You can delete anything in the green cells, but don't delete anything that's in the white section. Okay, so now that we've set that up, what we need to do is we need to look at our actual schedule. So if we go to 5 periods, if you're running on the 7 periods, you need to go to the 7 period tab at the bottom here. So the first step is going to be to set up our days. So this is when we want this to start. So you're going to need to base this off the day that you want to start your cycle from. So we recommend that you do this so that the day following this Sunday is a day 1. So you could set this to the upcoming Sunday's date. You just need to make sure that the day following that is day 1. Otherwise, here where it says day 0, you need to change that value to the day that precedes what the Monday is going to be. So for example, if Monday is a day 3, you will need to set Sunday to a day 1 here. So if you don't set this to the same date, you're going to end up with events that cover multiple days. So you can see that our sheet has pulled in our data from our lookup sheet over here. And we now have day 1, period 1, starts at 7:50, ends at 9:05, math 1 in room 100. This class here, Monday, the 2nd of September, day 1, period 2, starts at 9:08, finishes at 9:20, math 2, room 100. Now let's say that this was the start of the year and we've got professional development day. We can go in the first column here and we can enter a P. So for each day that you enter P for, it's going to identify this day as a professional development day. And what you'll notice as we do this is that the following day now becomes your day 1. Now let's say that we now have a holiday. We can put a H to identify the day there's a holiday. Now it is very slow. There's a lot of formulas in here. As you work through it, it will speed up a little bit. So 1 holiday left to enter. So we can now see that it's now skipped out 2 days. So my Wednesday now begins as day 1. So this will happen anywhere throughout the year. Now your entire year is in here, and every time a day repeats, it will appear here. So let's go to here and let's say we have another holiday on this day. So we go through and we enter a holiday for each one of these events. We can see that it gets identified as a holiday. And again, the day gets skipped. And the following day becomes day 1 again. Now this works with any day in your calendar. So you can go through, you can enter in your holidays, you can enter in any professional development days, you can enter in any days that might not follow the regular cycle, so you can enter them yourself. So we're looking at days that follow the regular cycle. Now if you have days which repeat, so maybe you have 2 day 5s following each other, you're going to have to create a custom event or a custom day, you're going to have to go in and you're going to have to add those days separately. There's no way around that. So we recommend that you just put the description as a holiday, Um, and then you go in and then you're going to have the event set up with the correct times. And then you can just go in and you can edit the description for that day and manually edit the classes once it's imported. So once you've gone through and you've identified all the days which are a holiday, all the days which are professional development days, then we can go back to our lookup sheet. Before we do any more, we need to make sure that we've filled in all the correct information. Everything that you have in here is correct. And then we're going to need to run our two scripts at the top here. So we're going to need to run the initial configuration for Sheet Spider. And we have to do this every time a script runs. You're giving it permission to access the information. And we're going to run the initial installation for Formule at the same time. Now, Sheet Spider takes your data from our export, and it's going to split it up into multiple sheets, one for each class. So your calendar entries for each class are going to be in separate sheets. If you then want to push that sheet out into individual calendars, you can export the data as a CSV file and import it into a calendar that you create. Or you can install Formule and follow the instructions that are in the input guide to push that data into the calendar. So we go to Formule, and again we're going to have to run our initial installation. So we're looking at Formule to push our information. Now we're being told that we have to set a calendar ID. Now to find our calendar ID, we need to go to our Google Calendar. And I suggest that you create a new calendar for the purpose of doing this. And I'm going to call this schedule import. And what we'll see is after we've created our calendar, I'm just checking that all my information is correct here. So I'm going to create my calendar. So down here I now have a schedule called schedule import. On my little arrow here, I'm going to choose calendar settings. And at the bottom down here, we have calendar address. And we need the information that follows the calendar ID section. So you're looking after the colon, and you're looking all the way until before the bracket. And we need to copy this. So I've copied that to my clipboard. I can also right-click on it, and I can copy it this way. So I go back to my sheet that I have open with my calendar in it. I click OK to this message. I go back to Sheet Spider, and oh, I don't even need to go back to Sheet Spider. Sheet Spider is going to open the menu for me, right? So I need to make sure that this Turn on Calendar Event Merge feature is turned on, and the Turn on Calendar Event. Everything should be set up in here for you. And what we're going to do in the Calendar ID box is we're going to paste that Calendar ID that we just copied from our calendar. So you can leave the rest blank. If you want to set yourself a reminder, you can set a reminder here. You can choose what sort of reminder you want, and you can also choose how many minutes before. Leave alone the repeat boxes. It's going to fill in the repeat for you. If you're not using the attendance, you can remove the attendance section from this box here. Okay, so we're going to save our calendar settings. And now to push our data, we'll go to Formule, Preview and perform a manual merge. And the preview takes a little while because there's so many events that it's generating. And we're going to click on the event create. So we can now see that every single event is going to have an entry for it. So this here is going to be ped day, ped day, ped day, ped day, ped day, holiday. So these are the events that we set. Now this is only the first 6, and it's going to create 1,657 calendar events. Now when you hit run merge now, it's going to take all the information from that sheet and it's going to push it straight into your calendar. Now you do need to leave the calendar open so that the script can run until it has generated all of the events in your calendar. So if I click run merge now, and go back to my calendar, if I go back to September, what we'll begin to see is that the events that we set up are being generated. So now these are being pushed in by Formule into our calendar automatically. We're not having to do anything. And once you're done, your entire year's worth of events are going to be pushed into your calendar, and everything's going to be set up, everything's going to be ready to run, um, and you can leave it there. If you want to do something more advanced, you want to share classes, your calendar with your groups, you can find the instructions on how to do that in the input guide. Um, so we can see here that we have a section, sorry, that says creating class calendars. And also we have the setting up the attendance section. So you can do a number of additional things here. But for today, we've now set up our calendar. We've now got our events into our calendar. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching.